everybody. Welcome to Week in Review here on the Dice Tower. Week in Review is a show that we put out each week that tells you all the different videos that we did over the past week. We kind of give you some summaries of them, and then if you want to see more of those reviews or other videos, then you just click the links in the description below. Here we go.
Hey everybody, I'm Garcia. Here's what I reviewed last week. So I reviewed Arkham Noir, case number 3. I gave this a 7 out of 10. This is a solitaire, puzzly card game with an Cthulhu theme on it. And I like it. It's the evolution of the series, though, means that by case number 3 here, I think there is a lot going on to the point that I would not recommend this as a jumping on point to someone new to the series. My recommendation for that would be 1, probably 2. Case number 2 is, I think, where you want to jump in. But case number 3 is flavorful. It's thematic. It has a lot going on. I could see myself not wanting to jump, just if I want to throw down a quick solo game, into 3, if I'm not feeling like dealing with those extra things. But they work pretty well in it. And again, I do enjoy the system quite a bit, so that's why it gets that score. I reviewed Distilled, which I gave a 7.5 to. And this one is a very thematic game, very lavish game, incredibly well put together. But I think there might be a little too much that got put into that put together game. Because some of the scoring things, some of the distractions what I consider distractions in the game could have easily been cut away, maybe made modules, maybe saved for later on, or simply stripped away. Because there's plenty to worry about, and all of that, the turn-to-turn is engaging. It's a very well-researched and interesting game. I just find that it manages to pull focus from itself by giving you too many things to worry about. And then lastly, I reviewed Colorado, which I rated an 8 out of 10. This is a flip and write, kind of. It's, you're marking things off. It's got a couple of neat twists, though, in which you're asking another player for a card. You take that card, play it on the table in front of you in your area, and everybody takes an action based on that. You'll be marking things off. There's lots of cascading effects, which is always fun in a roll and write style game. But then those cards you're collecting, if you're able to give up a full set, if you can manage to play that full set, then you open up a new region on the board in front of you, which is a little map. And that map, you can mark new areas on that if you open them up and then take new abilities on there. It's neat. It's clever. It's not revolutionary, but I think the small little twists on top of it are enough to make me want to play this one over a lot of other roll and write games. So there you go. That's it for me. See you on the next one.
Hi, I'm Wendy Yee, and this week I reviewed Votes for Women. I gave it a 7.5. I think that it was really, really cool the way that they incorporated the mechanisms with the history of ratifying that amendment. I enjoyed the cooperative version, which is what I have played. There are competitive versions, there's some other stuff going on, there's a solo version, but the cooperative game I just really enjoyed. I think that the Applebot kind of thing, which is the computer running side of things, was relatively simple to use. It wasn't complicated, so 7.5 is what I gave that. I also want to give a little plug out to my Painting the Dice Tower series. I put up another video for that, and I painted Marvel Zombies. So I have just a couple figurines from that, and I focused in this time on contrast paints because that's what I've been using a little bit more of, and it's really cool to see how it can do some of that heavy lifting for you. The Hulk was definitely my favorite, so go ahead and check that out as well. Anywho, let's see what is going on next, because I'm Wendy Yee. Thanks for joining me.
Week in review time, I took a look at Marvel Age of Heroes. It's just called Age of Heroes, but then it has a little Marvel subtitle thing. This is an X-Men themed game where it's kind of worker placement, where you're putting things out on the board. Overall, I gave this a 7, and I love X-Men. I enjoy worker placement. Euro games are not normally as big of my thing, but I did think that this had some cool, interesting things going on. The thing that brought it down so much for me was the fact that the length of the game is super long. It feels like it should be quite a bit shorter of a game, but I did enjoy some of the powers that are going on. As far as a Euro style game, this is the kind that I kind of enjoy, but it didn't get higher than a 7. So Marvel Age of Heroes was my look at this week.
Hey everyone, Chris here. This week I took a look at 3 games, all very good, starting with Votes for Women, which I gave an 8. This is a really neat historical game about trying to pass the 19th Amendment. There are competitive modes, co-op, or solo modes. I think I prefer this one most solo or cooperative, but I think it's a good historical game, very easy kind of way to get into, worth checking out, great historical theme, lots of theme dripping in this box. Next up, Kabuto Sumo, the Total Mayhem expansion. I gave a 9. I gave the original Kabuto Sumo a 7.5 for reference, and so I think that this expansion, adding some different win conditions, speeds up the game and makes it more interesting as you're trying to decide, should I push my opponent wrestler out of the ring? Or should I go for the briefcase? Or should I climb up the ladder? A review worth checking out. And then lastly, Distilled, gave a 9.5. This is a gorgeous, well-produced, but not overproduced game. It is well streamlined, but not over streamlined. This is just such a sweet spot, such an amazing game about distilling different spirits, and I'm a very big fan, so make sure to check out that review. A 9.5 from me, and that's been my week.
Okay, these are the games I reviewed this week. First one wasn't a game. I reviewed the Western Legends Big Box, the insert that was on Kickstarter, and it came in, and I reviewed that with Camilla. We didn't give it a number, but we kind of talked about the insert itself. There are some problems with it, and she talks about some problems with the building, and then later I went into the fact that it's a great insert if you have everything. And by everything, I mean everything. This insert is made to hold 3D printed buildings, the miniatures, everything. So if you have everything and you're a completionist and everything that's official, then this insert may really work for you. But otherwise, it is a big, big box that you may not need. Or it may not fit your needs if you do kind of get the 3D printed terrain and things like that that isn't really official. That might be a problem too. But the box itself is big, and if you take the insert out, you can still use the box. So anyway, then I also reviewed Colorado, a roll and write with Z. Z and I reviewed that. That is a fun roll and write. There's a nice cascading feel. It's a Western feel in the roll and write. And it's a weird mechanic with a kind of a go fish type thing where you can kind of grab a card from someone else, you take a chance, you ask for like a blue 2. And if they have that, they have to give you the blue 2. If they don't have that, they have to give you a blue or a 2. Or you can have to draw one. But either way, that I do like that whole mechanic in this game. And the cascading's fun, so I actually liked it a lot. I gave it an 8. Then I also reviewed Undaunted Battle of Britain with Tom. This was a great game. This is my first kind of venture into the Undaunted system. And this one uses planes, and it's a lot of fun. It was kind of reminiscent of X-Wing, kind of a quick X-Wing. I like the whole way to take battle damage and things like that. So check this out. I gave it an 8.5. Then Age of Heroes. This is an X-Men style game by WizKids, and it is kind of... It's similar to Lords of Waterdeep. It is a worker placement game, but you are battling the big bads as the X-Men characters. There's a lot of Lords of Waterdeep feels on this. There's a lot of differences too that I think may work better with Lords of Waterdeep, so this is something you may want to check out, at least look at the review. The artwork on this is incredible, and the acrylic standees I do like, but ultimately I gave this one a 6.5. Then finally, I looked at Kabuto Sumo Total Mayhem. Kabuto Sumo is a game that I did enjoy for a long time, but it fell really far because it had one problem in most games I played, and that was that it went a bit too long. Total Mayhem fixes that. Total Mayhem adds some really fun wrestling style tropes to this and makes it a shorter game because there are different things you can put in for different win conditions and also lose conditions. This honestly is one of the rare expansions that I won't ever play without. So this actually saved the game for me. This one I came in at a 9, and honestly I can only see this going up because this did save that game for me. So anyway, those are the games I reviewed this week.
Hey there everybody, it's Mike DeLisio, and first off this week I did a second episode of FaceTime Face-Off with Dan Hughes, where he and I went through the 5 games randomly chosen from the Dice Tower People's Choice Top 100, and we re-ranked them into their proper order. So if you're interested in some nonsense, feel free to check that out. And then I also reviewed a game called Silvermine. I gave Silvermine a 7 out of 10. This is a re-release of an older game by designer Alex Randolph. It's been redone by Korean publisher Playtee Games, and it is essentially a roll and move game. And normally you don't think that roll and move games would be something that can be recommended, but this design, although older, does a lot of nice things, little twists to the roll and move system that make it something that is interesting. interesting. First of all, normally you're trying to race in these types of games where you roll and move, and in this one you're trying to be the last one to reach the silver mine. And there are ways to mitigate how many dice you're rolling and financially incentivizing other players to roll more dice than they might want to. So some neat little twists, a game that feels a little bit of its age, but I can still recommend this one. It's a roll and move game that does not have a lot of the negative aspects of many other in this genre. All right, well, that's it for me this week. Let's keep it moving.
So for me, a couple reviews I did not care for. Age of Heroes, this Marvel game, which I really want to like, from the same designer of Lords of Waterdeep, but it's too long. It's too messy. It's not streamlined, and the math doesn't work as well as I wanted it to. I want to like this game more than I do, and it just doesn't work for me. 5 out of 10. Spacecraft. This is a fun, lighter style game about collecting junk parts and building weird spacecraft that go in outer space, spaceships. But the spaceships are weird looking. The game ends earlier than I want it to. It just didn't come together for me. Another 5 out of 10. Exit Kids Puzzle in the Jungle. This is an exit game for kids, but it is for, and I'm giving this one a 7, but you just have to realize it's for very young children. We're talking kindergarten or just above kindergarten. Then a couple of the amazing games. Undaunted Battle of Britain. This is the new airplanes mixed with this Undaunted deck building war game system. 8.5, really good. And Distilled, a very, very fun game about distilling drinks and all, and the components are amazing, but the game itself is so fun, and you're doing interesting things every single turn. Another 8.5. Now, unless you think I'm all, roses and sunshine, I also did the 6 games I played, so you don't have to. We also had a chance to play Scarface 1920, with a very fun game about mobsters. We played that live. And then, of course, we did all of our normal live shows, crowd surfing, board game breakfast, board game smorgasbord, and, very fun, we did our top 10 video games of all time. So that's the stuff we did this week. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Tom Vassell, and this is Week in Review.